The game of Trivial Pursuit has gone 80s. Totally 80s.
I'm the mad rhyme.
Who found who?
Who's mean and green? What sport was played by the guy Kareem?
Who played the babe weird science made?
Trivial Pursuit.
What cube took time?
Who's Optimus Prime?
Remember more than you know.
Welcome! You're watching the Thrift Store Rundown, where we bring Hollywood home on a budget. Even though I am a very late 90s bloomer, being born in 1998, I still jump at the chance to review anything related to the 1980s. That's uncharted territory for me, yet I developed a fondness over the years for anything, at least within the pop culture spectrum, to do with one of the most radical decades in American history. While some of you might think I have no business reviewing anything related to the 80s, that might be true, but still, we must, at all times.
Respect the classics, man.
And that's exactly what we're going to continue to do with this review, and I promise you, in many more reviews ahead. While there is not one board game, not one TV show, film, soundtrack, book, fad of any kind that can perfectly encapsulate the 80s in a nutshell, there is but one game out there that does a pretty formidable job at being brave in the attempt, and all for one bodacious bargain. This is a hella heavenly game that any 80s junkie needs to pick up come hell or high water. This is Trivial Pursuit, totally 80s edition. Remember more than you know about the decade of yuppies, big hair, and breakdancing. This, by the way, marks the debut of Trivial Pursuit on TSR. Go figure. Even though the price is upside down, I picked this up for 75% off the price of $4.99. So without further delay, let's open up this awesome game and see what lies inside. So before anything else, we have to look at this double-sided instruction sheet. Put it in cardboard here. And as always, you get 10 seconds to look at this in real time, so you can figure out how to play it. If you like to pause and enlarge this and read this entirely, you can do that. But right now, 10 seconds. Start the clock, please. Time's up. I don't have time to explain how to play this game, but Trivial Pursuit is a very straightforward trivia game. And if there's a gameplay demonstration video available on YouTube, I will link that below. But in summation, here is the game board, which is darn colorful, but then again, the 80s were one of the most colorful decades in all of the land, in all the world, so it only makes sense that it's colorful like this. It was also made a bit more colorful thanks to mismatched socks and shoes, and the colorful, independent spirit of one Penelope Brewster and her dog, Brandon, otherwise known as, yes, the newest love of my life, Punky Brewster. Thanks to the Peacock reboot, I now regard Soleil Moon Frye, the adult Punky Brewster by the way, as the love of my life. No adult of any age should crush on an 8-year-old. That's just wrong. Anyway, that's one of several questions, actually thousands upon thousands of 80s related questions that you'll find in these cards here. These cards were already packaged in the shrink wrap packaging. I got them out to inspect all the cards. And yes, I'll admit, I got them out just to see if they had one question in here, at the very least, that was related to my new crush, Punky Brewster. New crush, Peacock reboot, folks. There's an important distinction between that and the 8-year-old Punky Brewster, which charmed NBC executives for 2 seasons and then syndication for another 2. Anyway. In blue, you have here headlines. In pink, you have television. In yellow, you have movies. Purple, music. Green, sports and leisure. And orange, wildcard. A random question that can relate to any of the 5 previously mentioned categories or something else entirely out of the norm. In fact, we have a few more cards here just to highlight. You have here the questions on one side, and you flip them over in lieu of turning them around sideways to reveal the answers. So flip them over, you got the answers here. You'll also see the color legend here in the double-sided instruction sheet. The categories are color-coded. Anyway, aside from the cards and the card storage box and the game board, we have here 1 die, 4 decorated pawns, and 24 scoring wedges. Let's have a look at that. So these are the scoring legends here, along with the die, the scoring tokens, I should call them. All still contained in that box. This has never been opened, by the way, prior to me purchasing this. As far as the decorated pawns go, your character pawns, really, and believe you me, even though one is a technically correct character, a Care Bear, the remaining 3 of these 80s relics are characters within their own right. I mean, we have here a CD, we have here a Mead Trapper Keeper, and the very first computer. And if I were to select any one of these tokens for playing, I would have to say the Trapper Keeper. Why not the computer? Well, this is old. I'm not really that fond of the 80s. Come on, folks. I mean, I guess it's my upbringing, but I do have a mad respect for the 80s, and I would use this Mead Trapper Keeper to highlight all of my, well, at least to keep secret, and then highlight later on for those who are really in my inner circle, all of my punky booster merchandise. Anyway, those are the pawns, and these are the other questions in here. And for any 80s chunky, this is going to tickle your funny bone, this is going to pull your heartstrings, and it's going to do everything else in its power in between to make sure that you get in touch with your inner 80s child. I don't care if you're obsessed with Soleil Moon Frye like I am, or if you are one of those millions upon millions of people who sighed with relief at a little baby being rescued from a well, or wanting to find out who in their right mind shot JR in Dallas. This is a totally 80s board game, and it really is totally, to quote a 90s sketch comedy, all that. Now let's go ahead and shut this and turn the game board around so you can get more about this game. How 80s are you? Find out as we bring back the most outrageous decade filled with big events, big affairs, and over-the-top personalities. We've crammed them all into this way cool edition of Trivial Pursuit Totally 80s, which is for 2 to 4 teams of adults. The first lady told kids to just say no while the upwardly mobile preferred to do lunch, quote-unquote. Music was a major influence, with Live Aid raising money for famine relief, and Cats raising whiskers on Broadway. Millions tuned in to find out who shot JR, and others watched with relief as a baby was rescued from the well. The decade was loud and full of excess, but it was all totally 80s. Welcome back. Chill out and flash back to the most radical of times. So with 4 unique pawns, 6 cool categories, and thousands upon thousands of questions to question your knowledge of all things 1980s, this gets all 5 claps. Life and liberty in the 1980s was certainly gnarly, and then some. I gotta hand it to Hasbro, Parker Brothers, and Horn Abbott to come up with a totally tubular Trivial Pursuit of happiness. For watching TSR. Now, to see another awesome review like this one, click here. If you want to become a Hollywood bargain hunter, click here to subscribe. And I'll catch you on the thrift side.